with a very prominent individual, absolutely, in the animation, in the animation of so many different scenes. And we just had to get, I know people have been dying to get Vincent on for a call, and I'm with my boy King Recon. But we'll let chat kind of, you know, build up for a second or two, so people are like, they're getting the notifications now and everything like that. But it's good to have Vincent here, absolutely. Just give me 1 second. I'll make sure everything's okay with both chats, and then we'll start talking about One Piece and talk about whatever we want to talk about. But Vincent, go ahead, say hi to the chats, man. They're here for you.
Sorry, I was. Well, hello everyone. I'm Vincent Chansard. I'm an animator, for example, but not limited to One Piece. And hello, good evening. I hope everyone is doing great.
Awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
And of course, everyone, shout out King Recon. You guys know him, the man, the myth, the legend, the peak fiction, no doubt.
Shout out. Much love to Cole. Much love to the chat. Much love to Vincent. Excited for a good chat here.
Perfect. Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it. Okay. Let me just do one last check. I just make sure that everything's okay, so we're not like, you know, on the fritz. I'm doing a lot of different checks. I know. But even in real time, we just gotta make sure everything's cool. Okay. Go. Yo, what's up? Oh, yes, Recon is on his bed. Recon is on his bed. The classic. It's classic Recon. It's classic Recon.
It's classic.
It's classic, right? There's no two cents about it. All right. Yeah. Perfect. Awesome. All right. So I'm just one more time because obviously he doesn't need too much of an introduction. But for all the chats that are watching right now, on Twitch and on YouTube, if you guys don't know who Vincent Chansard is, Vincent Chansard is the mind behind some of the greatest animated scenes for particularly One Piece. Obviously, we're talking, a little bit of glaze, just a small amount of glaze.
We got a glaze.
We're talking about.
I will tolerate a bit of glaze.
Yeah, a bit. So everyone remembers the amazing moment between King Laufey versus Zoro in episode 1062. That's Vincent Chansard for the most part's work. Everyone remembers the stuff with the Rob Lucci versus Luffy, where Rob Lucci had that amazing transformation scene. That was also the work of Vincent Chansard for the most part. You have obviously, as of late, a lot of the great scenes with the Five Elders. We have the when they first introduced all of them in their totality. That was an amazing scene. Also, Vincent Chansard. And obviously, who can forget the Gear 5 transformation for the first time animated on episodes weekly. That was also work of Vincent Chansard. So Vincent has done some incredible things, and people, they love you. They love you for that. One Piece fans love you tremendously. He's also done work for JJK. Also done work for, I believe, even Primal, way back when. He's also done some work for, or has done like a little snippets here and there for My Hero Academia. I remember seeing a Suyu clip that you did way back when, like you know, like at least maybe some fan stuff there. But you know, he's done some incredible work that everyone is aware of, obviously. So I don't go too much into the glaze here. Vincent Chansard he's one of the goats. That's obvious. He's one of the goats. So he's here today to answer some questions. No doubt about that. And Re02, right? Re02. There it is. All right.
And Boruto, a lot of stuff. Yes.
Yes, Boruto as well too. Yes. So, we were talking earlier. Yeah, exactly. So we were talking earlier before, off stream, about like various things about, you know, where we are right now with the animation and then where we are now. Let's say One Piece, because Recon and I, we've been around the bend for a while, and there was a point in time where, like, seeing where One Piece has come from, where One Piece was like really not that great in terms of the quality animation, in terms of the focus, and then seeing where we are now, and then want to give it its take on that. So, Vincent, if you could like just roll through that real quick, because it was actually a pretty interesting conversation we had before about like where One Piece was back in the day, like let's say late or early 2010s to where we are like now.
For sure. I mean, it's an anecdote I do say quite often, but like when I was like 14, 15, like One Piece was my favorite manga. I had been reading for, I think, 2 or 3 years by that point. And I came back from school and randomly, started watching the TV. And One Piece Is Blue was on the TV at that time. And amusingly enough, it was actually right after Naruto. And so you had like the two, the Naruto and the One Piece anime in succession, and I was able to, watch the both of them. And one of the two, I'm not pointing fingers, but one of the two was not looking quite as good as the other one.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Yeah.
And I did carry this hatred of the early One Piece anime for quite a bit. Obviously, I was a kid, so it was, when you're a kid, it's very easy to hate stuff, to be like, this is the worst thing ever. Obviously, I can, have a bit more nuance. I can say, it's an aesthetic that was created because of the lack of time, because of many technical constraints. So obviously, my colleagues at the time had to make the choice to finish on time the episode. But still, I was very much, let's say, not happy about it when I was a kid, because again, Naruto and Bleach were right next to it, and like I was getting grilled in school by my friends. Like I had like a group of we were three in that group. One was a Bleach guy, one was a Naruto guy, and I was a One Piece guy. And I just was getting grilled.
I feel that
because of the anime.
Yeah.
So it was my experience growing up. And when I became, when I started entering the animation sphere, obviously everyone, to study animation, you have to look at great animation. And let's say there was no clip of One Piece to watch at the time. Let's say. So
yeah. So One Piece was like
I remembered for a good, like, let's just say 3 or 4 years, we kept rewatching the same Law versus Virgo clip here on YouTube, because that was like the main clip of like, oh yeah, this is our clip, our clip for 5 years, and it was that's how deprived we were of like really cool scenes at the time. But
because like I think like
but
I'll say like
I'm glad to see where we are right now, right, with the One Piece anime, which is so cool.
Oh, for sure. Because I feel like there was a point in time where it was like you had a lot of the most prominent scenes were scenes that like Natoshi did, where like you had like the Marco and Kizaru scene. You had like the Gear 4 Bowman scene. I think he did the Virgo versus Smoker stuff too. And it's like at that point in time, there weren't that many like key figures that would have like some quintessential like fight scenes or like big moments. There were good anime scenes for sure, but they weren't on the same level that they were now. And I'm wondering too, like, do you feel like Toei has maybe like uptick a lot of the animation because of the rise of a story like of Demon Slayer? Where like I feel like Demon Slayer's rise to like its heights also kind of like branched out throughout the industry, and then other studios start to try and match because they realize how good animation can go so far for a series.
A very interesting question. Before diving into it, I just want to go back to something we said earlier. I don't think right now in One Piece is perfect, and maybe it's just my perfectionism speaking, but I do believe we can still do way better, even though we still have constraint just like back then. Right now we have the very famous constraint of having one episode being one chapter, and it is a constraint. We also have the constraint of having to follow a script that is given to us, and we don't have control of that script. And sometimes when the script is not saying it's bad, but when it's not as good as it could be, sometimes you're just like, well, what do I do? What do I do?
Right.
But anyway, to answer your question, which I actually completely forgot, so I'm going to ask you to repeat your question again.
Yeah. So my question was that, considering where like One Piece was, and then that shift, you could argue, let's say around Wano country, like where things started to like really like explode. I would kind of argue, like, let's say like maybe like the Katakuri fight with Luffy, where things really got like really fantastic. But Demon Slayer came out, and Demon Slayer was just like a tremendous like rise in animation quality, where like within like a year or two, it started to beat out One Piece in terms of the viewership and the sales, all these different things. So I was wondering if maybe like Demon Slayer's rise had an impact on like Toei Animation trying to raise the quality of their animation scenes too, which like Wano Country such as like on average, those scenes were like amazing scenes, and then the guys like you sort of become way more prominent. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a very interesting question. So I think there is two sides to answer, two ways to answer this question. The first is from an animator, or I should say an animation team perspective, and the second one is from a producer slash television perspective.
Okay.
And I can tell you from exactly from where it's coming from on the One Piece team side, which is, or I mean, he's not line producer anymore, but Akaori-san is now a bit more up than just line producer. Akaori-san was someone who at the time was a Seisaku Shinko in One Piece during, Dressrosa Whole Cake, and he was, watching any other anime on the side. Like I think also worked on Sword Art Online, and he was like, why is One Piece not up there? The story is so good. How come we don't have, that crispy animation?
Yeah.
And
That's
the
right.
answer was very obvious. Like the answer was time, also budget, also people. The answer was very, very obvious. And so Akaori-san set on a journey, growing higher and higher in the echelon of people in charge of One Piece. And he started, fighting and advocate for better conditions, for better opportunity to actually do good animation. And where I think your question get interesting is that
Really?
I don't think Akaori-san necessarily was watching Demon Slayer, or that it's necessarily what compelled him to do that. But where I think it gets interesting is that the people he talked to, the people who, are the one who pay us, I think they definitely add stuff like Demon Slayer in their minds. I think that's a very fair assumption.
Oh, that's actually very
to
interesting.
have for sure.
Okay. So because of that, so was that maybe around the time? Because like you could say like Demon Slayer was coming up, and then I'm assuming that like okay, there's an intent to make like One Piece, because One Piece is such a great story. They want to give it the love and like it deserves, like they want to shine its love, its respect. But you're saying that okay, because Akori was actually able to like really vouch and fight for like, hey, we want to get like we need to have better quality animation. We need to have better storyboarding, because it got to a point in Wano Country where they were airing these things in movie theaters. Like there were actual like I remember for 1061, 1062, they put them in movie theaters in Japan for folks to watch. So that's a lot of confidence in your product to put that out there in a movie theater for folks to watch, even after it airs on television. And so that's a very bold thing. So like, do you think that like a lot of that was like he helped move a lot of that tide to even do things of that sort, like actually push things to movie theaters and be way more consistent, like take breaks in the episode scheduling so you actually have focus? Yeah, so how has it helped like animators and like like yourself actually really like do a lot of the quality work in terms of scheduling? How's it helped you guys out?
Absolutely. So I don't want to throw any studio under the bus. I don't want to say any names, even though I think what I'm referring to. But I'm sure you've heard about some, or should I say, interesting things that happen in Hollywood when it comes to money and cutting corner and getting,
Yes.
more money at the end of the day. Japan, not saying any name, sometime does that, where, for example, a very famous one that's happening in Japan right now is you have a studio taking a lot of project and taking 6 months worth of budget and time from a project and giving it to another, and the people being on the project that got shafted being just like, where is the money, big man? And like One Piece does literally the opposite. where they
Okay,
will
good.
literally be like, okay, we cannot, like, the episode will not be airing at that time. We need
Right.
1 more week. We need 2 more week. And that's actually has allowed to push for far better quality, far better episode. Because at the end of the day, still, a series that has to come out nearly every week.
Right.
Also, like we're also trying to not catch up to the manga that it's one of the
Yeah, that
biggest
struggle.
fear of the
Yeah.
studio. It's catching up to the manga. So with kind of decision also, we have a thing called frame count per
Mhm,
episode.
mhm.
Like more normal series would be like, oh, we cannot go over this amount of frame. And uh just small parenthesis, but this whole frame count can be a bit I've seen a lot of people misunderstand what it means. It's not the frame rate, because the frame rate is the same no matter what kind of anime you're watching.
Mhm.
It's just the amount of drawing animators are allowed to draw. But like a 1 second cut, depending on the animator, can have different layers, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
so this will create more frames. And in One Piece,
Mm.
we nearly have almost no limit. Like I think once they said
Really.
like, maybe can you
Wow.
reduce a bit the frame? But like we're on, a more traditional anime, they would be like, sorry, like we cannot go over that limit. Can you make the animation as simple as possible? In One Piece, it's very often, oh, I want to
Wow.
do this and that and this and that, and they just go like, okay.
Really. Wait. So
That's awesome.
that's yeah, it's really awesome, but also it's kind of crazy because so the
Right.
idea of the idea of actively wanting simple animation is like more of an industry standard. Really. That's actually insane. Because you would think that
Absolutely.
so it's
Wow.
about let's
Yeah.
say because like it's about how much money you have to actually pay the people to actually do certain frames. Whereas let's say,
And
okay,
the
why
time.
not? Yeah, at the time, right? Because you would think, okay, if you have better animation overall, then you get more eyeballs, you get more sales for let's say toys or whatever for like
Mhm.
whatever series you're doing. But you're saying no. At the time, because it costs so much money to get the frames done, they'll actively say keep it simpler, and that's wow. Okay.
I mean, if you like, here's the thing. I'm not saying that's what you should do. Actually, that's even what I'm
Mhm.
personally against. But if you make a product for very cheap,
Uh-huh.
even if you sell it less, the question is just, is the benefit you get from having less quality, uh, is it worth it or not? That's just the question. And
Mm.
at the moment, the One Piece team, or at least the people in charge, people like Akaori-san,
Mhm.
also our new line producer Tokida-san, they're
Mhm.
like, no, we want this quality actually, and so that's why they're fighting every day
Okay.
to get us,
Okay.
the working condition that we want.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. So then, so it's like those conditions then that you guys have, they help facilitate a better work environment. And then, so then I guess the question moving here would then be okay. So then, is it possible to where you can make it more constant, or do they? Because like obviously some episodes they take a step back. Like the quality does drop. Like that's a big criticism of the anime for One Piece, where it's like sometimes it's like over the top, off the charts. Oh my god! But then
Mm.
episode or two later, it's like it diminishes the quality drastically, and folks find that kind of jarring. Where it's like, whoa, like wait a minute, like why can't it be overall consistent on a more regular basis? Whereas instead of, but then could you be consistently high quality like in Wano Country, where episodes were high quality for the most part? But then, like, is Egget Island get the same thing moving forward? Elbath, after Elbath, can you guys maintain that moving forward? Is that even possible?
Mm. So this is very interesting. I will have to be a bit careful about my answer here. So this is why we say that budget is not everything in an anime production, and this
Okay.
is kind of the limit of budget. And how do I say, technically it is what you're saying, having every episode being a 20 out of 20. It is technically feasible, but how do I say that? How do I say that? Do people see your chat? See the Discord chat?
Oh, the Discord chat? People see my chats, but they don't see the Discord chat. No, no one sees the Discord chat.
Okay, all right. So this is the kind of stuff I might write and then just be like, like I don't know about it.
Okay,
It's
you can
like-
send me a message on like Twitter or something, and then I'll keep it private. Yeah, send me something on Twitter and just let me know. Because obviously, So okay, because I would assume, because I don't want you to get in trouble, you can send me a message on Twitter, and then we're cool. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
The idea is just that it's possible.
No buster calls.
Yeah, right, exactly. No buster
Thank
calls, no
God, thank
clicks.
God. Oh.
Yeah, no buster calls, no buster call. Yeah, no buster calls. Line zero.
Troy coming from this room. Oh,
That's right.
it's like it's feasible, but it's at this point, it's not a budget thing. I don't want to, because I don't want to, insult anyone. I cannot, say exactly what this is about, but it's in the way Toei is known. It feels difficult to imagine it happening right now, but it's an ideal I would like to fight for, and I'm trying to fight for. But again, because things are how they are, it is how it is. I'm sending you a message.
Yeah, please. They say I need this message. So then, okay,
I will never say I will never.
Yeah,
it is.
Listen, you won't see me say a damn thing either, right? I just need to know because this is. Okay. I got you.
It is.
Yeah, I got it.
If I speak, I am in big trouble. If I speak, I am.
So then let's get to someone then, because this is something that's interesting too, and maybe you can't speak on this one too. So a few years ago, and I think recently too, when you did that really, really amazing Kizaru versus Luffy scene, when they're fighting in the clouds and you have all the crazy effects, and it was like a masterclass. You were talking about Luffy, he's free. You could see how he's almost like a deity, all kind of stuff. It was really, really good when you have that write up. But there was also an interesting side of things where everyone was praising the animation for that scene. And then there was someone by the name of Hone-san, who who had comments about the One Piece anime sound effects, where he said it 2 times now, where it's almost like an embarrassment, where it is disgusting how the sound, look at how he knows the sound effects are so bad that they're actually diminishing the quality of your work, of the work of Akihiro, of Natoshi, Akihiro Oda-san, anyone else that works on the anime. It's like, why are the sound effects so dog water? And Hone had 2 public outbursts about that, 2 of them, and he was very upset with it. So can you talk about that?
Sugetsugu-san is someone who is very, it's actually a bit rare sometimes with people I've met here, but he's very honest with his opinion, and we really tend to agree or more things than just one, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
This is, again, like, it's difficult. I don't want to, throw my colleagues under the bus or like say that some of my colleagues' work is not bad. It's not something I want to do. But, I think it's important to understand that Japan is a country that value experience a lot. And actually, I've gone to dinner with the gentleman veteran who is doing the sound design, and he actually had this very interesting anecdote. Is it true or not? I don't know. But he was the one who made the the Kamehameha sound.
Yes.
Like he's actually very proud of that. He he
Yes.
told us each time, I tried to talk to him about sound design. Oh, do you know that I made the Kamehameha sound with a CD actually? And but he had this interesting anecdote that when Akira Toriyama sensei met him, he was like, "So you're the one who's ruining my my manga with your sound design."
Really?
And actually, is it true or not? I don't
Wow.
know. But he told us that, Tao Pai Pai, Toriyama Sensei actually made the design of Tao Pai Pai based on him because he was, again, according to that gentleman, because he was,
Wow.
quote unquote,
Pie is this.
jokingly furious at him.
Okay.
So that's an
Whoa.
anecdote he told us. Is it
Oh.
true or not? I don't know, but Tao Pai
Okay.
Pai does look like him a bit. So
Yeah, no, that's actually pretty interesting because he's a pretty prominent villain at that point in time. He comes back and then he turns to an android. He gets
Right.
absolutely annihilated. So it's a
gets
pretty interesting
annihilated?
statement to say, hey, yeah, he gets annihilated.
Right.
So it's pretty crazy to say that the sound director at that point in time was also Tao Pai Pai in this image. That's pretty nuts. But then okay, so then is there any sort of, because I'm pretty sure like you see it if someone like Hone Hone is saying these things about these sound effects. And you can kind of see online, like a lot of people that are like, English speaking people, they're like, these sound effects are like 45 years old. Like, why are we still using these sound effects for things that are like in 2025, do you know like a sense of how the Japanese fans feel about the sound effects right now? Like, do they like it? Are they like used to it? Or like, is there like also like an outcry about, hey, they should be adjusted and edited because it's, they've been for so like, one of the things that come to mind right now is that when you like a lot of work on the Garp scene versus Kuzan, like when Garp goes like starts to release more hockey, more power, they have the same Super Saiyan sound effect, and it's like, why is Garp going Super Saiyan? What's going on here? Like this is so like it's a really really dope scene, but we're using literally sound effects that are from the 1980s. So I'm curious about what you think about that.
yeah, no, I mean, my opinion, I think, is pretty much the same as everyone. Again, I cannot, and I don't want to criticize, the work of my colleagues who are working in a very difficult industry. What I would say is that Japan does value experience a lot,
Right.
which, you get what you will from that.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That makes sense.
Yeah. I think it most certainly is a very important conversation to have though, because whenever I think of like for Gear 5, for example, I remember before that was animated, we were all thinking about, what kind of cartoon sound effects are going to accompany Gear 5. And so
Yes.
that's where that is like, we want to see that. We want to see them go back to the 30s and 20s and bring stuff from like Disney cartoons or just as a reference and utilize them in that way. And I think the sound effects in the One Piece anime, Zoro vs. King is a good example, right? Zoro vs. King has like excellent sound design throughout the course of that entire final stretch of that entire battle. It's one that sticks out in my mind as like a super iconic soundtrack at this point. Is like I can hear that soundtrack in my head as I think back to that sequence. And so sound design alongside of the visual harmony of it all is something that I think is so important that I'm glad we're having this conversation to at the very least bring to highlight the topic for what could potentially happen in like LBAF, right? Let's just say when we get to LBAF, there could be like something that could potentially change, right? Or something in the future, considering we highlight this topic in conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if you want my opinion on it, I'm of the same opinion as everyone. People on the One Piece team, very close to my opinion as well.
Yeah.
Also, they would say it with, a lot of nuance, as a lot of people in Japan do. But will it change in the future? I hope.
I hope, yeah. That's like you just do right there. I hope, yeah. So, I mean, I guess
Again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad.
Because you can argue that, like, because
Mhm.
a lot of folks, they get used to it. Like, you adjust to it, like, you get used to it, of course, of time, It's just that, because, like, right now, like, the playing field, there's so many more players right now in the field than they ever have been in the industry. Where, like, there's so many more amateurs that are coming out. We've seen things now, I think, go, like, for example, like, Periot, who do, like, Boruto, like, they're now changing up their whole dynamic so they can do better quality stuff. Toei Animation has done a lot of good things. You have Demon Slayer that's still, like, very popular out there. They have, like, movies coming out. So, like, everyone's upping their game as time goes on. And then now you have more players that are coming in from, like, other countries. Now you have, I don't know if you know, but, like, you have China now. They have like, these massive shows. Like, you have To Be Hero X that replaced One Piece's time slot, which was crazy.
Love that
then
show.
Then you have Lord of Mysteries. And it's like, you have all these players that are not coming out from different countries, and they're matching, if not even superseding, where you're seeing a lot of the Japanese, like shows do. Do you ever see yourself maybe working for, even like a series that are made from China or South Korea? Do you ever see that possible or no? Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's just, it always comes down to schedule. Like, do I have
Right.
time or
Right.
not?
Mhm.
Like, nothing is never going to be as fun as One Piece, but
Yeah.
some stuff can come very close to it. You know what I mean? I often, help friends who are like who work on an anime that I personally don't necessarily
Right.
vibe 100% with, but I do help friends quite a bit. So yeah, I have no problem. I've worked for friends quite a bit. I've worked for America. I've worked for England. I've
Right.
worked for Korea.
Ooh.
Uh,
Okay.
I'm just like, if you have an interesting project, I have time. Sure,
There it is.
no,
Yeah.
no
Yeah. Of course.
problem.
Time, and of course, the
Mhm.
money. Obviously,
Right.
very important. You got to get paid for your work. Obviously,
Mhm.
who else gonna pay before? Of course, yeah. Yeah. Because if you don't know,
That's
Work,
right.
yeah. Because if Chad doesn't
absolutely.
know too,
Work
he's also
condition
done.
are
Exactly. Because Chad, if you guys don't know, so to remind Chad, he's also done work from Primal, the Genny Tartakovsky, the guy that did also Samurai Jack. He did work with him too for like way back when. So and Primal's a really good show, and his scenes are really good scenes. But then I have to kind of go over to like one of the elephants in the room, and that was Jujutsu Kaisen. So with Jujutsu Kaisen, you were very public about how you didn't want to work for these guys anymore. You're like, no, these guys are crazy. But to be frank, one of the scenes that you did was with Sukuna versus Mahoraga. That's one of the best scenes. Like, that's an outstanding scene, undeniably. And
Agreed.
but at the
I
same
did what I
time,
could.
yeah, it was really, really good. So I think people recognize you to be a JJK and also like One Piece anime because of that one scene alone. But I feel like when you have Mappa, who like notoriously drove a lot of directors and animators to the bone, but the quality of the season is like on such a high level, it's hard to match. Like, what do you think about like the results versus the actual workload to get there? Like, how do you feel about that whole experience going through with JJK season 2? He'll come back more though.
Well, it's at the same time the good thing and the difficult with Japanese production is that it's a passion industry very much. So you can absolutely drive to slavery people using passion. So
Yes.
and that's again why we say that budget sometimes is not sufficient to explain an animation. So it's sometimes you just can be, oh, you want to work on this cool project. I don't have
Mhm.
keys on me, but it's like, oh you look at the cool project. Come on the cool project. You will do cool animation.
Yeah.
And then just people are like, oh, I guess I want to work on the project. I guess I do. And so,
Right, yeah. God.
but it's like
Yeah.
that's also why I decided to make the choice I made. But let me be clear, my king.
You
I
say
would
Kingu.
make
Kingu works
that
too.
same. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it works too.
I would say I would make that same decision
Huh?
with any company. Like,
Okay, that's fair.
I love the One Piece team, but they're not. There is no perfect company in Japan. Let's
Exactly.
first
Exactly.
start with
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And
Like you have like black
I
companies that are like
would
very, very hard to work with. Obviously, people get like forced into a lot
absolutely.
of difficult work. The hours, like I mean, there are some times where animators they can work for so long where they even go to the hospital, like even because they're working for so
Definitely.
long. It's that's
Death.
crazy. Yeah, it's death.
Absolutely. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Some people work to death. I mean, so I don't want to. If this goes into a YouTube video, I don't want to demonetize
No,
your
no, no.
video
Don't
saying
worry about that.
the D
My guys will
word.
edit it and everything be okay. They'll bleep it out. They'll put a fancy little
Oh,
duck sound over it. Don't worry about that. You're good. Have fun. If you
wonderful,
want to make curse, if you
wonderful.
want to use curse words, have fun. All right, have fun. Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. The Japanese industry as a whole is a very hard, very harsh industry, especially for what we call shinjin, which you would call junior or
Mhm.
people who try to enter the industry. It
Oh,
is
interns
especially
and so on.
hard
Yeah, like
for
interns. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so, like, yes, to go back to what we were discussing, I made a decision to not work with this studio. In
Mm,
truth, there are other studio
mm.
for which I've made the same decision. Um, but I would still make that decision for any studio if one day I discover that some stuff that I consider my limit are crossed.
Yeah, because it kind of feels like when you have this situation where people are openly saying like throw your key cards in the garbage. I forgot who it was, but like a very prominent person said like throw your key cards in the
I
garbage
know it
because
was.
yeah, and it was like yeah, like we're not working for Map anymore. But then when you mention how okay, well they obviously kind of dangle that sort of you can be a part of making great scenes that come work for us, and then they work it to the bone. It's like in the same thing where like you have some game industries where game industries that people will work a lot on video games because they love video games, like they love making their dreams come to life. Like ultimately, like as an animator, as director, kind of the same thing, right? Like you want to make your dreams, your vision of how you see this happening come to life, but then they kind of dangle that kind of cat in front of you, and then they force you into a situation where okay, here's your dream, but you're also gonna have to work like 10 hours a day at least to get this done, and the hours are pretty brutal. But when I hear about Mappa and I hear about other like anime studios, and they mention how Toei, I don't hear about Toei ever having this issue where like Toei has issues where people are like working to the bone and like like they're going to the hospital. I don't hear about Toei like that, and I'm wondering is that because Toei is like a weekly series where it has well, One Piece is, I should say, One Piece has a weekly sort of format where they do it step by step, and then other series are more seasonal, and so there are certain deadlines that they meet, whether it's because of let's say the time slot, where cause let's say Netflix, because Netflix has a lot of pull now, so they're doing a lot of different shows. So I wonder how you think all that plays a role into all that.
I mean, it's a very interesting way to think of it. I never thought about it that way, but I think there might be some truth to what you said in the sense
Mm-hmm.
that because it's continuous, you can't have someone being like, okay, I'm going to take 6 months here and put 6 months here. And it goes
Right,
both way
right.
because we cannot take time out. At the same time, we cannot add time as well. But I see what you're saying. Yeah, again, haven't thought about it that way, but it is true that we cannot get, we cannot get got with that whole time thing.
Yeah. Because there was like before JJK season 2, or I guess actually during season 2 of JJK, there was a noticeable break. I think it was like a 2 or 3 month break. And I think that was to give animators enough time to kind of do what they wanted to, but that wasn't even enough time. That wasn't enough. It was
Yeah,
because the demand
yeah.
of work was so much. You probably need like half a year or more to really get it all done. I mean, in fact, even when the Blu-rays came out, there was more work done on the Blu-rays. So did you play a role in that? By the way, did you do work on the Blu-rays too, or no? For JJK.
Yeah, so there was an animator who didn't finish his work, and they asked me to do some Genga for him, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I did my scene. I'm good. Now
I did
it's
my sin. Yo, I
I did
paid
my
my
scene. I'm
penance. I'm
good.
done. Okay.
But I've had some friends who, because it was Akugo-san directly asking us, so guys, sorry, like
Yeah.
trying to finish it for the Blu-ray and make everything look as good as possible, because Go-san is very much a perfectionist like me. He
Yeah.
still wasn't happy with the Blu-ray, but it's a lot of artists are like us, so I
Whew.
completely understand where he's
Yeah.
coming from. But yes, like we had Go-san had to make very drastic decision to air the episode when it aired, and after that there were a bunch of scenes that were not finished, and some
Mhm.
animator who you know disappeared,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we still had to finish the scene. So he asked me and a lot of my friends if they could help. I did not help because I had too much work. I
Mhm.
had finished my
That
scene
makes
on
sense.
time for the episode. So I was like, I don't want to jump back into the
Right.
nightmare.
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm
And then now
free.
you're
I'm
even more
free.
stressed. Now even more stressed trying to get more work done for the Blu-ray. We have other things to do. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Wow. Okay. So, man. So, because that situation with Map and JJK again, like your work was really good there. But yeah, I think people recognize you more for what you've done for One Piece. And do you see yourself trying to like animate or even direct more episodes of One Piece in the future? Like, if of course, God willing.
So I'm not, again, very interesting discussions that I've had with many of my friends and colleagues. I don't think I'm a director, and it's not about being able to do it or not, because I went to school for a school that supposedly prepared me to do directing.
Yeah.
But I will say I see myself as an animator. I want to animate. And the quote unquote issue with being a director, although it's not impossible, but it less time for animation. And that's
Right.
a
Right.
sacrifice I'm not sure I'm able to make. Storyboarding more for sure, because it doesn't, you do storyboard before doing
Right.
animation. So almost like doing your rough animation early, and it doesn't take away from the animation time. So I'm open to
Because when
a
you
contest storyboard.
because like whenever you write,
Go for it.
you're sort of and I love that, or I do like it a lot when you roll through your thought process on how you come with certain scenes, and then I'm thinking to myself, well, this is clearly like the makings of like how like a director would view certain like scenes and how they would be showcased within a certain episode. So like when you, for example, the S Hawk versus Luffy and Zoro scene, when you went over how because S Hawk is young and he's very inexperienced, but he still has Miyuki's, so he has Miyuki's physique and skills. So you actually incorporated various martial arts styles, but they were pretty flashy and they were quite useless. So Zoro, who's very experienced, would actually be able to like perceive what he was doing. So it's like those things I think are like the workings of someone that would think about not only the characters but also like how they would expand, let's say, with real world concepts, real world like martial arts and let's say ways of religion and so on, and then incorporating them into the store so it becomes a much better experience. And those when and honestly, like, people love that scene a lot when S Hawk fought against Zoro and Luffy. Yeah, that scene was an outstanding scene. So I mean, I would probably vouch for a lot of people saying that I think that you should. It's a lot more work, obviously, but trying to do directing and storyboarding more often on your part, I think people would be like, hell yeah, absolutely. They would back you up 1,000%, 1,000%, Vincent, absolute.
I will try. I will try.
Hmm.
Although it might be my egotistic part, but I do love animating quite a lot. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm again. I haven't tried being a nenjutsu. So it's like talking about being a baker when you have never been a baker. You know what I mean?
Fair,
Uh,
yeah.
but it's like maybe I will try it at some point, but I am fearful of starting an animation scene while being an enchutsu and ending up not being happy about this animation scene because I was enchutsu at the same time. That's what I am fearful
Okay,
of.
that makes sense.
Again,
That makes
I
sense. Yeah.
might do it at some point.
Mm.
We will see. But I'm just so invested into animation and how things should move to tell a story that
Do you feel like your
right now
colleagues?
it's not.
Do you feel like your colleagues give you enough like they allow you to have more of an input on a certain scene? So you want to get like you have a really good idea, you want to get it done. Do you feel like there's enough like back and forth between you and your other colleagues so you do get the scene that you kind of want, at least most of the time, more often than not, you think?
I mean, there is always, differences in vision. Like the One Piece team is very much like the One Piece fan base is.
Mm,
Some people look at a certain panel and one director is going to see this, and
right,
another director is going to say, hold on, I see this.
right,
And
right.
so obviously there are times where me talking to my director or my colleagues, we have difference in opinion, but at the end of the day, we still have to make it work even with difference of opinion. So I
Okay.
would say in the
Hmm.
whole, when compared to the entire industry, I would say yes, I'm actually very privileged with the, oh my god, that's dark, King
Yeah.
Rican. But yes, I would say yes, I am
Dude,
very
Yeah.
blessed.
I'm so sorry.
Nah, you're good.
Oh
You're good.
yeah. So much you got Dami reversed, bro.
Bro, I really did,
You
dude.
did. How was it?
Emu took you, bro. Just flipped you around. Oh, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Uh,
Oh man. But yeah, we were just going over various things about the industry, and then maybe in the future he may try to do some storyboarding or some directing. But he's an animator at heart. Like
Mhm.
people I can we can understand like either we stream or we make content, but that's what we want to do. Like that's our passion. So then, because I guess something I want to really kind of go over too is that you made some incredible scenes. But I think so.
I've
What's
tried.
like? Yeah, I mean, I think you really have. I think the people's reaction to your scenes are proof enough. Uh, but what's like your favorite scene, and what do you think is like the best scene that you've made? So like the favorite, but also what's your best scene you think you made?
Oh, feel Christian because I'm the kind of person who look at everything I've made and I'm always like, I can always nitpick my own work. I can always
Oh,
be
Mm,
like,
sure,
this scene,
sure.
like,
I
I
got you.
missed that thing. I would say the one that was the most fun to make is definitely the Luffy versus Kizaru. Like me
Ooh.
discussing with Matsumi-san. Like
Mm,
actually, when we were in the planning stage of this episode, we went
mm,
together with Tanaka-san and Nishida-san of the background team. We went to USJ together, and we were having this discussion where we would go on the Harry Potter ride and be like, oh, that moment when we push, we should try to have something like this.
oh, I like that.
Very fun episode to make. Because this scene, there was so much back and forth. I came with an entire, 2 minute animation, and Matsumi-san was like, okay, let's
Mm,
take some stuff out, let's add some stuff. And then on top of it, I came and added some stuff as well. And Matsumi-san also took some stuff. It, to me, and that's just my perspective, it feels a bit patchworky, but I feel like the eye of that scene are my personal biggest eye as an animator
that sounds pretty cool.
for
Mm,
Yeah.
sure.
Because it sounded like
that
you
is
had like a
cool.
lot of like almost like a really fun class project at school or something. It's like you have like your team and you're kind of working on we should
Right.
do this. No, let's not do that. Let's do it this way instead. And so it's a nice back and forth on like you and everybody else with Masumi-san and so on. Really like working to make like the best scene you guys can, where it doesn't have everything you want, but also has things that you thought actually were better than what you thought. And it's like, oh wow. And then the final product is like, damn, yeah, that's really really cool. Yeah. So that's the most fun. What about the best? You think that's like the best one too? Like the number one you've done? The number
The
one.
best one. So that's difficult because like
Yeah, the best.
what does it mean to be the best? Is it about like the eyes? Is it about what are we looking at? I would say if we're just talking about purely animation prowess, animation technicity, I would say the highest I have had are definitely on Luffy versus Kizaru. Like
Huh?
from a technical standpoint, like
Okay.
this scene has some of the again I say that as an animator, the most technically uh, quote unquote
Mm.
impressive stuff I've made for sure. If you're looking for consistency, mood, maybe it's between the King or the recent Five Elder scene.
Okay.
I'd say maybe it's between the two. I'm also fairly happy with the scene I did on Boruto when he's Baryon mode and he's using his last
Yeah, Barry
Rasengan
on Naruto. Yeah,
against
either one too. That was
Ishiki.
yeah, that was pretty cool. That was
Yeah,
very very cool too. Yeah,
very
yeah,
short scene, very
yeah.
short scene, but I'm happy with it for sure. I'd say it's between these scene.
Okay, okay,
I'd say.
yeah, absolutely. Because part of me wants to say that like when I think about like the best work that you've been a part of, like me personally, I think that, and I'm not too sure if it's like even possible to like surpass this. Honestly, I think that what you guys did in 1074 was like magical.
Oh,
Like
amazing.
Kaido versus Luffy. Like
yeah, that was so
when
good.
you like because
Oh.
when you said before in previous interviews that like tapping into Luffy is like tapping into like an imagination where like you can do anything, and then just seeing during that whole fight like Kaido hit Luffy up into the sky, Luffy literally like upside down on top of the clouds makes the clouds into like a rubber platform, then he grabs lightning bolts like they're and then he just yeets them down. That was some of the best I've ever seen, like ever. Like that was incredible, and that to me, I don't know if there's ever a scene that can surpass that. That 3-minute fight sequence was like the pinnacle of like creativity, hype, Luffy's powers, Kaido showing how even though you're able to do all this crazy Looney Tune stuff, I'm still gonna be here. I'm still gonna match you no matter what. Like that, it was so immaculate. So just like what do you think about like the possibility of like being able to create something like that again? You know, like something like on that level.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. Before that, I would say the reason why this scene specifically was not in the discussion about one of my best scenes is I personally have, some restraint as an animator because
Okay.
it was a Luffy versus Kaido fight. I came in with a like 1 minute and so breath of being like, okay, this is what I want to animate. I want to add more choreography to the fight and stuff. And there were some divergent opinion that
Right.
made me only do like something like 20 seconds, and it became a smaller scene that I personally wanted it to be. It's not about everyone else. It's just me. I would have liked it to be even bigger. So I definitely do believe we can make it bigger
Yeah.
for sure. But there are also things that are beyond our control. I think something I wanted to make on the Kizaru versus Luffy, and that I also wanted to make on the Kaido versus Luffy is like a 4 minute fight scene, because a scene I talk a lot about is Naruto versus Sasuke in the Valley of the End.
Ooh. Okay.
Like the fight done by Norio Matsumoto. It's a 4 minute and so fight.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just, I wish we can create a scene like this that goes on for 4 minutes, and it's just interesting choreography of two characters expressing who they are through their fighting. And it's my dream. So I think it is feasible, but again, there are things that are or control as animator. Like
Right.
I was talking about script before, but
Yeah.
if character just clash and do nothing else in a chapter, I can, make the camera rotate around them clashing
Right.
for like 5 minutes. They will still only be clashing. You know what I mean?
Garp
Right.
versus Kuzan, they have their clash, and then you have the impact frames of like Garp and Kuzan giving the high five, but then it boils into the cross. Yes, like you're gonna do really like so much, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
Setting is important. Setting is very important.
Yeah.
On that same line of thought, I'm curious. Was there like a moment where you were reading the manga? Not for something that's coming in the future, but like for something back in like Wano or Egghead, where you were like, "Oh, I would love to work on that scene," and then you got to work on that scene. Was there a moment like that?
Yeah.
Actually, it's the opposite. Often I read the manga and I'm like, wow, this scene looks like a pain in the ass to animate. I don't want to animate this scene. And then they come to me and they're like, Vin, do you mind doing this scene? And I'm like, I guess I'm doing this scene then. More often than not.
Yes.
Because like
man.
Yeah.
some scene are like, if you do them poorly, people will see it. But if you do them perfectly, quote unquote, no one will care, if that makes sense. And they're like, I think some stuff like the Elder appearance, you know what I mean? Or like the Luffy Gear 5 reveal when you have like the name tag of Gear 5, the title appearing. Like this scene, it's very easy to miss this scene. It's very easy to make something that's not that interesting. But if you do them, they're not necessarily, you know, the highest moment of an episode. Like, you know, like Gear 5, the highest moment of the episode is when Kaido and Luffy are actually fighting. That's a bit you don't want to miss. The Gorosei appearing, high note of the episode is when, you know, Zoro and Lucy are fighting.
Yeah.
And so, you know, at some point as an animator, you can do everything you can in your power, but if it's not the main part of the episode, even if you do it perfectly, which I'm not saying I did, I'm not saying, you know, everything perfectly, it will still not be the main part of the episode. So I just try to do my best with what I'm given, and sometimes I try to go to my boss Tokida-san, and I'm like, Tokida-san, can I do this scene? And so like, go like, we will see.
We will see. Yeah. So like, cause like it makes a lot of sense because you have like you have a lot of scenes in the manga that are just only like one frame, and then so you have to fill in 30 minutes or 25 minutes of episode time because you're only going episode per week. Chapter episode. So it's like you only have that much time to do one chapter work, and I really think like when you guys take the liberties with the directors, like, if they allow it to, and you're allowed to do like a lot of different things, that's when you kind of really get things that shine, that really stick out, because you're adding so much more content to that scene. And like a lot of times, like Oda himself will like kind of just leave it like as is, and then we'll move away from that clash. But you can add in like another 2-3 minutes of that scene, giving it way more depth to it, and then it's actually more visually stimulating for the audience to view that than, let's say, you do that simple clash and that's it. So it's risky, and obviously depends on the directors and the storyboarders, but it's like, as an animator, I'm pretty sure you do want to see a lot more of that. Like, you want to be able to like get a lot more work done in these. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, this is a situation where I 100% agree with you, but you know, sometimes
watch out for the Buster call. You gotta watch out.
Buster call. Yeah.
It's like we work for a gigantic economical empire.
Yes.
And there are, again, trying to be very, you know, to choose my word carefully. But like, we work for a very an economic giant. Some of the choices that are made are not made by the artist team. Is all I will say.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair. Because it's just a shame, because it's like we see it so many times, and it's like you can argue there are folks that they do talk about Oda's vision, where you want to maintain Oda's vision, but it's like a lot of times you can just add so much more work to it. It's like, especially when you don't feel like an entire episode and you don't have, you know, like too much, let's say, filler episode content. So having extended comedy or fight scenes, which you guys do so well, it makes a lot of sense. But either way, though, that's neither here or there, I suppose. One of the things I also want to know too is that, like, are there certain characters, because you love Kaido. That's obvious. You love Kaido. Kaido is your bread and butter, right? That's for sure. Like, for all the seasons people talk about Luffy, you love Kaido. You love Zoro, you love Luffy, but Kaido's like, whoa. So do you see another character, like Sanji, for example? Do you see another character you see yourself in the future for?
I love antagonist. I've talked about it a lot, but you know, my biggest animation heroes are Andreas Deja and Katy Zielinski, who are both Polish and American animators, but they basically were the big antagonist lead or of respectively Disney and DreamWorks, with Andreas Deja doing character like Scar from The Lion King, or Katy Zielinski doing a character like Tsekel Khan to El Dorado. And the work with antagonists is just something that I personally am very drawn to, that I absolutely love. So give me some Blackbird, give me some rocks, give
give him some rocks.
Ooh.
Give him some rocks. He wants it. Oh man, yeah, hell yeah. Oh yeah, man. I mean, okay, so
that
more
actually makes a lot of sense with how hard you went on the Gorosei sequence whenever they appeared. Because it looked like you had a lot of fun with that scene whenever they initially first all they make their appearance. Yeah,
that was a great scene for sure. I mean, even with S-Hawk, and then even of course with again like one of the best scenes was seeing that scene with Kaido going. It was before Gear 5 when Kaido is like kind of like powering up, and then you have Gear 4 Bowman Luffy before Guernica stops him. When you have that scene, you have like Kaido going through his various forms, like almost instantaneously, almost like fluid. Luffy has like that impact frame of him going to Gear 2, Gear 3, Gear 4, Gear 5. Like whenever you have good antagonists, and there are so many good antagonists in One Piece, so many good rivals, and then it's like, because these characters you can argue are like some of the best characters in the story too. Maybe just me. Like some of these characters are just really good characters. They're so well written, and so it feels like you really dive into your bag with these characters, because these antagonists they make the main characters feel better. You think, right? So it's like they make the main characters better, and you're like, I want to really dive into this, and then your animation and your thought process is really really good. I mean, it's so good there. So then in the future, Rocks for sure, Blackbeard absolutely. Any Shanks possibilities?
Sure. I mean, I'm not opposed. Again, it's like I'm not opposed to it. It will depend on the story, on the scene. I'm not opposed to anyone. Rocks and Blackbeard are just came to mind.
Okay,
fair enough.
That is awesome.